Buenas and Havri, the Committee on Infrastructure, Economic Development, Simon Sanchez High School, Disability Service, Self-Determination, Historic Preservation, Public Accountability, and the Guam Bureau of Informational Hearing is called to order. The time is currently 9:12 a.m. Apologies for being a little bit late this morning. We had some technical difficulties. It is currently 9:12 a.m. on Monday, November 6, 2023. Notice of this hearing was provided to all senators, stakeholders, and local media on October 27, 2023, satisfying the 5-day notice, and November 4, 2023, satisfying the 48-hour public notice, thus meeting the requirements for open government law. In addition to those notices this hearing was also posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website. Materials for this informational hearing were shared in the committee drive and are available for print upon request. Recording of today's hearing will also be available on the Guam Legislature's website and on YouTube. For signing convenience, we have a QR code that has been queued up with my staff. Apologies again for being a little bit late this morning, and it's available at the sign-in desk, okay? Unfortunately, none of my colleagues are with me, but I'll continue and carry on. Siduous Masi for all of your presence. I know you guys all have busy schedules. The purpose of this morning's informational briefing and hearing is to discuss and gather information regarding the agency's compliance to public notices as mandated by the open government law. Additionally, the digitization of official records and archives will be addressed in this informational hearing. The committee aims to understand the resources necessary for the government entities and to adhere to public notices section of the open government law, while exploring alternatives to promote both increased public awareness and fiscal prudence. Laws that govern this area play a critical role in ensuring that the public is well informed. This leads to a more open, efficient, and responsible governance system. This informational briefing is intended to be interactive, allowing all the participants to engage in constructive discussions and provide real examples of practical insights. I encourage all those participating today to openly express their thoughts and ideas, allowing others to benefit from their shared experiences. This will enable the legislative body to identify areas where the open government law can be strengthened. I appreciate your participation in this informational briefing, and I look forward to having a collaborative and productive discussion. Before I proceed, we have to have some rules of conduct. I'd like to first provide some general rules of conduct for those in attendance. The conduct of this hearing shall be as follows. Individuals speaking shall only use respectful and professional language and conduct. Personal inference about the character or motive of any senator or any individual is absolutely not permitted. The chairperson of the committee may order the removal of the hearing or the subcommittee of any person who is not a member of Liatur and Gohan and who fails to observe proper decorum according to the 37th Guam Legislature's standing rules. All must abide by the rules and conduct of quality assurance standards. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Before we get started, let's introduce ourselves. So you just state your name, like Roy, Quinata, XXX, where from, right? Starting from the left, and we'll carry to the right. And you just have to just state again your name and your job title and organization. As we aim to make the most of our time together, the two subject items on the agenda are the public notices. So we'll go ahead and start with the public notices. As per my sign-in sheet, I'll go through that, right? And public notices play a vital role in fostering transparency and accountability in our democratic society. However, the expenses associated with the conventional methods, like newspapers, can be a little burdensome for a government agency. It is important to explore alternative media platforms that not only match but surpass the reach of traditional forms of media. By doing so, we can ensure effective dissemination of information to the public in order to tackle those challenges and uncover opportunities to enhance public awareness while saving the government expenses. My policy team and I are actively exploring and transitioning towards a modern and accessible methods for disseminating public notices by embracing digital platforms, websites, social media, so we can significantly reduce costs while simultaneously expanding our reach and fostering greater engagement. I've asked in advance the following questions by various agencies and boards and commissions. How many public and bidding notices were published on behalf of your department, agency, board, or commission in either FY23 or 22 approximately? What is the estimated cost of these public and bidding notices for the fiscal year? And I'm also interested in learning if those testifying would support exploring the use of digital mediums such as social media, Instagram, Facebook, and etc., right, to communicate the public notices. I look forward to exploring those solutions and further discussions ahead. And we are going to go ahead and begin with Ms. Lola Guerrero, Michelle Perez, and you guys just have a seat, and there's like 6 chairs. Maria Pangilinan, Miss Angela Camacho. Oh, sorry, disregard that. Providing testimony. Sorry, only providing testimony and verbal. Vincent Perez. Aina Carrillo. Mr. Pacifico Martir. Mr. Joey Nicholas. Yes. Okay. We can go ahead and proceed.
Hafaday Senator, good morning. My name is Lola Leon Guerrero, Director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans.
Hafaday Michelle Perez, the Director of DICID.
Good morning, Senator. My name is Vincent Perez. I'm the Chief of Customs.
Maria Pangilinan, Director, Guam Election Commission.
Pacifico Martir, Deputy Finance Port Authority.
Aina Carrillo, GM, PBS Guam.
And Joyce Nicholas, Fire Chief Acting, Guam Fire Department.
Good morning, panel. We can go ahead and proceed with your testimony.
Hafaday Senator, so with regards to the questions that you provided, on October 25th, I'll be providing my response. So with regards to question number 1, how many public and bidding notices were published on behalf of your department, agency, board, commission in either FY23 or FY22 approximately? In FY22, the BSP issued a total of 2 bid advertisements. One was published, was an IFB, and the other one was an RFP. In FY23, the BSP issued a total of 12 bid advertisement notices. Of the 12 bid advertisements, 6 were issued for 3 requests for proposals, and 6 were issued for public notice and finding. With regards to question number 2, what is the estimated cost of these public and bidding notices for the fiscal year? In FY22, the BSP estimated cost for the bid notices is $390. So it ranged from one was $90, the other was $300. In FY23, the BSP estimated cost for the public notices ranged from $240 to $540, and this was based on size and also the vendor, because at that time there were 2 vendors. So in FY23, we spent a total of $5,190 for bid advertisement. With regards to question number 3, what is the estimated expense of the sanitation and destruction of stored documents? We actually did not have any expenditures. We didn't have any documents that had to be sanitized or destroyed. So in addition to the public notices, we do post our bid advertisement notices on our website, as well as the Government of Guam public notices portal. What we also do is, if it's regards to requests for proposals, we do email potential vendors of the announcements. That concludes my response. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I know we did discuss, we're kind of going into the second part of the agenda, which is to discuss the sanitation and destruction of documents, right? I know that you guys did have in the previous, like 20, you guys did confirm. If you could please confirm for me that you guys spent like 20-some thousand to sanitize and destroy documents? It was, I think you guys bidded it out to do it?
So what we did was we actually had it for to scan our federal consistency documents, and so it was actually a scanning project. So Guam Coastal Management Program was originally up in Sinajana, so they moved down to Adelup. So we did not have much space for filing cabinets, so we had all of the documents there. Most specific to federal consistency, they were digitized.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Guerrero. Ms. Michelle Perez, you can.
Hafaday Senator, I'll go ahead and read off the questions. How many public and bidding notices were published on behalf of your department or agency? board or commission in either fiscal year 23 or 22, approximately. For fiscal year 22, DICID had one, excuse me, one public notice that was sent out, and that was more of an informational notice for DVR. And then for fiscal year 23, we had a lot more because we did public notices, actual several times for the personal care attendant RFP. And then also, in addition to that, we had the adult daycare RFP that went out in 23. For question number 2, what is the estimated cost of these public and bidding notices for each fiscal year? For fiscal year 22, we had approximately $780. And then for fiscal year 23, it was $4,048. Did you want me to go ahead and answer number 3, or did you want for? Okay, we did not have any, there was zero cost to the agency regarding any type of destruction or sanitization. We did everything in-house based on how we did it was we just have case files for our consumers and our clients, so we followed the federal regulations as far as how to, after 7 years, but we pushed it up to 10 years, then we destroyed them on our own, just through basic shredding.
Okay. And what do you guys do to destroying them?
We shred them,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you. And in the interest of time, since there's a lot of you, I'm very happy that a lot of you showed up today. We'll just go ahead and carry on to all 3 item agendas, and then we'll just, once you've entertained all 3 items, I don't have any further questions mostly, you can dismiss yourself, okay? Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Senator. This is Vince Perez from the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency, and to expedite it, I'll just go through the, instead of reading it. So in response to number 1, for fiscal year 2023, we did have a Marine Interdiction Task Force for engines public notice, and for fiscal year 2022, we had the Marine Interdiction Task Force bid for furniture, Marine Interdiction Task Force bid for marine engines, 1 bid for 4x4 pickup truck, crew cab with bed. And then for number 2, the estimated cost of the public and bidding notices for the fiscal year, on average, we spent around $2,000 by way of a blanket purchase agreement for 2 vendors, which was the PDN and the Guam Daily Post. In reference to number 3, the estimated expense for sanitation and destruction for any documents that we have stored for the Customs and Quarantine Agency. For destruction per year, we average around $7,000.
And that's all, right? Okay. Ms. Pangilinan, you're next.
Half a day, Senator. Remember that for every fiscal year, we have an election. So odd years, we have the primary, and even years, we have the general. So we published 30 notices in 23 and 44 notices in 22. We spent $50,715 in 23 and $22,840 in 22. When we spend for shredding, it's mostly for the voted ballots. Everything else we do in-house, but the voted ballots we do outside. And that one, we spent $3,090 even before fiscal year 2022. What we do is those ballots by law have to go down to GSA. So if they don't have room for us for the ballots that are going to come down, what we do is when they tell us that they need room, we make arrangements for the shredding.
And it's by law, it has to go to GSA?
Yes, sir.
Would you support it being destroyed in your own agency?
We need to be careful because there needs to be accountability. So if we, I don't know if if the GEC will be suspect if we store it and destroy it ourselves. But we do have records based on the records retention schedule. We do have records, and we keep the records of when those ballots are destroyed.
When do you guys destroy them? Just
I think
90 days after
No.
your certification? Oh,
No, we keep them for at least one election cycle, sometimes two, just in case. So in 2000, the 2010 ballots we kept for a long time.
so is that one whole room full of ballots?
No, they're all gone now. Those are all gone now. So, and again, the voted ballots go down to GSA.
Okay. But the ones that are not used, you guys retain those too, or you just
Those stay with us, and we get rid of them when it's time. We have lots of ballot stock. We always keep one set of extra ballot stock. So that's about 100,000 ballots all the time. So like right now, we should have one set, and we've already ordered our ballots for 2024.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Happy day, Senator. For
Good
question number 1 for the port, as you know, the port is a huge government agency. For year 2022, we have 56 public notices, and for 23, we have 45 public notices that we put out. For question number 2, estimated cost for advertisement, we budgeted around $17,000 a year. And question number 3, for disposal and shredding, it's like $5 a box to remove from the shelf and $5 to shred every box. That's for the report from DeWitt.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
On behalf of PBS, and in response to your questions, question number 1, in 2022, PBS doesn't have a lot of need to procure high-ticket items. So for public notices, it's really just board meetings, in which we have about, we try to have one every month. I would say we have between 11 and 12 notices a year. We're in a unique position where we could produce our own public notice and run it on the air, our own air, so as a PSA, so it doesn't cost us anything. I mean, besides basic basic cost to keep the power on. We did have one bid last year for the construction or renovation of the station, which we sent out through the post, and it cost, I think post and PDN ended up costing us about $1,000 because we did both papers. But besides that, that's a pretty unique situation. Besides that, most of our bids, our public notices go out through the through PBS broadcast. We do offer this service to other agencies where they can broadcast their public notices on our air, as well as we can publish their board or commission meetings, and we could reach out. It is a little bit cost, you'll see some savings as opposed to print media. We can discuss that if you like.
I just wanted to clarify, yes, you're a very unique agency. You do have the access and means to provide your own public notice, and that's why I'm trying to use and capitalize on our government infrastructure, right, more than anything. But do you guys have a radio station?
We're just TV.
Okay.
But we do tie a lot of our broadcast. We have a YouTube channel, and then we have the PBS app. So, there are various streams to watch our medium. And then the new public notice service that we're offering is, I think in the last 12 months, we've just developed that for other agencies or nonprofits or whatever that need to provide public notice. So it will consist of a standard monthly fee as opposed to per notice, like you would like a standard newspaper ad or something. It would be somewhere around $500, and you pay the $500 a month for all your notices. And that's something that has been developed just recently and will be going out to all the agencies soon.
Yeah. Along with you, you know, the public notice portal is relatively more accessible as well. So I don't think it's you know that hard to move towards that digitization, right?
Yes.
So
And it's accessible, right?
Yes.
You know, you can watch it on TV, you can see it on our YouTube channel. We have a GovGuam Live YouTube channel that's dedicated to just government hearings, as well as you can go on the PBS app and watch that as well.
thank you so much, Mr. Nicholas.
Hafade Manana Sizua, Senator. Joey Nicholas from Guam Fire Department. In response to your questions, the Guam Fire Department only had 3 invitation for bid advertisement in FY22 with 0 in FY23. The total cost for those 3 IFBs was around $500, $504 to be exact. As far as the sanitation and destruction and the storage of documents, we once contracted out for an estimated $4,500 a year. But now, since we've moved into the digital world, largely with our response documentations, ambulance billing, the fire responses as well, we're now able to absorb pretty much that cost within our operational and contractual budget in our office spaces. Subject to your questions, that's all I have to provide for you.
Okay, thank you so much. I know DPW Director Vince Ariola, you said you're only observing, so, but I just wanted to put you in this conversation because I know that you guys review permits to an extent. I mean, not you directly, but you have your own permit staff that goes through the permitting system. I know that we have like 5 copies, right, printed per project. I think that, you know, that adds up. That's like $500 each copy. So for one developer or one residential person, that's a significant cost. I think that can be a little bit burdensome. So I was thinking that that also can be, you know, more or less digitized, and the only thing that needs to be printed is your official original, right? But only needed as needed. I mean, more or less, when you're going to sign off on the actual permit, then that's when it should be rendered to the agency. But you know, we have a lot of permit issues, so we're working on that as well. But do you guys retain any of those things retained or like stored?
Yeah,
physically
so
anywhere?
in the permit center, at least for us in particular as an agency, all we require is the original plan and a CD disc of the plan. And we do a large part of our plans and review digitally, and then provide comments on the original document. So the cost is now pretty much minimal, at least for those that are looking to get their plans reviewed, as far as the Guam Fire Department side of the house. And I do know that DPW does depend on us largely as a regulatory agency.
Yes. Okay. Other than that, you guys are okay. Anyone else want to testify? Because everyone else listed is just observing. Okay. Okay, next panel. Okay, and we'll start from the left to the right.
Manana Jesus, Senator. Angel Sublon, Mayor's Council. Did you want me to go ahead and testify, or are you going to? For the Mayor's Council in FY22, we had 25 notices, and for FY23, we had 35. This is just for our office. This is not counting the various notices that each of the villages also have to purchase their municipal planning councils. But as far as MCOG, we have 2 meetings a month, a regular meeting and a special meeting, and both of them have to be noticed. And then the villages, whenever they have the municipal planning council meeting, those also have to be noticed. So as far as the expenses, we support any other type of, whether it be digital, social, or whatever, to reduce the expenses. and the requirement for noticing the same meeting twice, maybe we should look into that and see whether or not a closer time frame to the meeting be the one that we choose to notice instead of 5 days out when nobody remembers anymore the date of the meeting. So we just support the option of trying to find any little one penny that we save that can go out towards the villages is, would certainly help. As far as bidding notices, we didn't have any bidding notices in either FY22 or 23, and that's because for the big items that we had to have bids on, it went through GSA, and there we wrote on what they call the IDIQ bids that were already in place, so we didn't have to spend any money on putting out bids. As far as expense of sanitation and destruction of stored documents, we just shred things ourselves at the office. So the only cost is the power to generate the shredder, and that's it. And of course, the manpower to continually feed the machine. But we schedule that once a month to start shredding. But at our office, we do have tons of requisitions and purchase orders because, as you know, we deal with our own procurement below $50,000 and below $25,000. So as far as shredding, we don't have any big costs, like I said, except for the machine and the power.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sablan. Next.
Buenas, Senator Quinata. Okay, the President for Guam Housing
Sorry,
Corporation.
can you just push your mic closer to you?
Okay.
There.
Okay, I'm from Guam Housing Corporation. So this morning I have for public meetings, for FY22, I have 20 for bids and 1 RFP. For 2022, for 2023, I have 24 bids and board meetings and 1 IFB for a vehicle. So for FY22, for the cost of the bidding and public notices, it's $3,504, and then for 2023, I have $4,312. In regards to expense for sanitation or destruction of stored documents, we do our own shredding in the office. So that's all I have to report for Guam Housing.
Does Guam Housing Corporation do any digitizing of its records?
Not yet, sir. That
Okay.
should be.
Do you have any significant barriers that perhaps may exist for you guys to archive your documents digitally?
Currently, we are at ITC, so we're just renting, and we don't have as much for lease purposes. We do have storage, but those are for documents that have to be kept for a certain period of time.
Because you guys loan out, right, as well?
Pardon?
It's a part of your loaning process?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Mr. Ariola?
Hi, good morning, Senator.
Good
Vince Ariola from DPW. Thank you so much for having us here. Real quickly, with regard to DPW, for FY 2022, to answer question 1 and 2, we had 36 types of public notices and advertisements for a total of $46,420. And for FY 2023, these are just preliminary numbers. A lot of them, we still haven't received invoices, but preliminarily we have 50 public notices and advertisements, and these could include radio spots also. So that would be 50 at a cost of $4,453. There's a little bit of disparity because a lot of them are radio spots, which are much cheaper than print. With regard to different types of data and storage that we use, I know you mentioned earlier about our building permits. What we do require is we require 1 hard copy for, say, a home building plans, and 1 CD. So we're trying to make it easy on the contractors and homeowners as well, and that's where we basically store all our building permits. We've had quite a number of destruction of old building plans and documents, and this is from 20, 30 years ago. You know, they're stored in warehouses, termites eat them, so we are switching as much as possible to CDs and shared drives. And that's pretty much all I have, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do you guys have any significant issues with digitizing your documentations and mappings?
Well,
Or
as a
your
matter of fact, we
permits?
are expanding our building permits building just for the storage of information. Like I mentioned, we lost quite a number of building plans and documents that were stored in a warehouse that actually a portion of it got damaged by malware, but there was previous damage. So we're putting a building up right behind the building permit center. It'll be concrete. It'll be hopefully typhoon proof, and that'll be strictly for document storage.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you guys you have any sanitation or destruction?
No, we don't.
costs? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Sir, you're next.
Good morning, Senator Quinata. So UOG, I'm also here as University of Guam's General Counsel. UOG published 17 notices for fiscal year 2022. UOG paid about $11,320 to publish the 17 notices that fiscal year. As far as the estimated expense for destruction of stored documents, UOG is in the process of constructing 4 new buildings, and a part of that effort, we had to tear down the Student Services Center. As a result, everything that was in the Student Services Center had to find homes somewhere else on campus. We did get estimates back then, and so and that was by DeWitt, and to basically shred our documents, and we're talking about documents that date to the 90s, the early 2000s. They're over 20 years old, so and these weren't the category of documents that were required to keep and archive. We do have a couple of estimates. So one was 70 standard boxes. It's like 28 cents a pound to shred them. That was 700, and that was about for 2,500 pounds. And another one, there were 70 standard boxes for about $1,000. Okay, so that was it. In terms of why we have to publish notices in newspapers, there are 2 bodies of law that do require that. I'm not going to go in extreme detail there. But of course, we have to publish notices twice for IFBs, invitation for bids, or RFPs, and that's required by Guam procurement law, Guam procurement regulation. We're also required to basically, within 14 calendar days of awarding a sole source contract, basically publish a notice that includes the names of the purchasing agency and the awardees, the contract amount, and the nature of the contract. And for exceptional term contract, this is a lease of government-owned land, I believe, for a period in excess of 5 years or so. We would also be required to publish a notice for that as well. The most troubling and the most expensive for UOG, at least, is the open government law's requirement that public notices or public agencies that hold a meeting required by statute, regulation, or resolution has to give 5 working days public notice and a second public notice at least 48 hours to the start of the meeting. I will echo the Mayor's Council's request that perhaps it could be streamlined, so we just give 1 notice prior to the meeting. But what's troubling with the open government law is by law, the term public notice would require the publication in a newspaper of general circulation. And how the government law, open government law, defines a newspaper of general circulation is a newspaper which is printed and distributed not less than once a week at regular intervals throughout Guam, which has a paid circulation, and which holds a valid second-class mailing permit from the United States Postal Office, and which contains news, articles, opinions, features, and other matters of current interest published for public dissemination. Printed newspaper. We are down to 1 printed newspaper. That is a Guam Daily Post. If they go the way of the Guam Pacific Daily News, which is now in an online digital format, this law would have to be updated, or we could get rid of this requirement now that it has to be printed. No, not the notices, but just that they have to be printed. Why? Because if they go all digital, there is no way any government agency could comply with this requirement. Further, where this becomes tenuous, after Typhoon Mawar, the Guam Daily Post could not print a paper, I believe, for almost a 2 or 3 week period. And there were government meetings held there. So at least put a provision, in times of an emergency declaration, and there's no printing, a government agency wouldn't have to comply with this requirement. Why? Because if you violate any provision of the open government law, whatever is carried out at that meeting is deemed void. So that's the issue. Further, a more troubling aspect of the open government law's requirement is that these notices have to include the agenda of the meeting. For UOG, which has a myriad, our Board of Regents go through a myriad of stuff that they're required to by statute at meetings, that's sometimes almost half a page of print. And that is one of the reasons why the costs are high for UOG. You could easily have the requirement, as UOG does, that the agenda is printed on the website. You could have the requirement that the notice that's published state that here's a link, or here is where you can see the entire agenda, versus having the requirement that it be published in a paper. And that's all my testimony. And on behalf of the University of Guam, I thank you for the opportunity to be heard today.
Thank you for bringing up the post issues. Definitely something to also be recognizing, right? When there's a time of disaster, sometimes there's no power, sometimes there's no water. So how does the company continue to print, right? Because the violation of one law to the other law, you cannot be occupying any commercial building if there's no water access, right? Thank you so much, Attorney, for that.
Manana Sidzuos, Senator. My name is Peter John Camacho from the Department of Public Health and Social Services. With regards to the questions that you posed, Senator, in FY22, there were 211 notices that were published, which included IFBs and notices of board meetings, and that totaled about $39,700. In FY23, there were 133 notices that were published at a cost of about $43,000. And so the total for those 2 years was 344 notices, approximately $83,000. For FY24, we are anticipating 164 notices for publication, and that would be about $46,000. With regards to sanitization and destruction of records, it's on an average for 2 years, 22 and 24, we're looking at about $25,000. It's a lot of records.
Jesus Christ, we can buy a government official with that $25,000.
I'm sorry, sir?
How much do you guys say? 25,000?
About $25,000 per year.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, we can buy some other stuff with that money.
We have a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a
well,
lot
I know you guys you're a huge agency. You guys deal with a lot of documentation and all
Yes,
that
sir.
stuff, certainly. So, is there any? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done with your testimony? Or okay. Do you have any difficulty digitizing those documents?
We are in the process of a data management upgrade, and I believe in that process we are going to be looking at that method to store documents as well.
Yeah, so yeah, that's oh my God, that's a lot of money. We can certainly reallocate that funding to better serve our communities and reallocate it somewhere else. I think better use and then printing and killing trees and storing. What is your storage capacity? Where are you guys storing all of these documents?
We have many sites around the island, so a lot of places in the different areas, we have documents that are stored.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. That's why we're here, to really collect all of this data and then start driving policy that can fiscally align for reallocation and possibly more digitization medium, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Peterson.
Good morning, Senator. This is Chris Sirangan, Director, Guam Public Library System. For the FY 2022, we spent $1,932, and FY 2023, we spent $2,172 for public notices. This is about our board meeting, and we are anticipating $6,000 if we are going to have all the meetings once a month, and we will be spending about $6,000 per year.
6,000 a year?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Do you have? I'm sorry. Are you done with your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any difficulty with digitization of any of your? Well, I think in the law it also states that you guys were at once upon a time supposed to be the transitioning point of archival matters, right? Do you have any documents that are pending archiving in a digital form, or?
We have some, but the entire project for digitizing project for the Guam materials, books that are published and once never reprinted, we have copies, and we are in the process of digitizing the entire project. We have received a grant, federal grant, and we are planning to do that sometime this year. And it's, if you come to the library, if you go to the second floor, you will see newspapers, old newspapers, starting 1947 up to now. And we would like to get those digitized. We also have a lot of Guam precious materials that we would like to digitize, and people should be able to access those resources from home. So that is one of the things that we are planning to do this year.
That's interesting. I didn't know you guys are collecting newspaper.
Yes.
That's a lot of newspaper. So another issue with that, right, is your sanitation of those documents. Do you have any plans, or have you guys did any sanitization, meaning destruction of those documents? Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. We don't have. Most of them we would like to digitize and store it somewhere else. The original documents will be stored in a secure place. But once we finish the digitizing project, and it's going to be in our database, people should be able to get all of those informations.
This is kind of off topic. What, you guys have an archival center in Barragata, correct?
Once once we moved our archive collection to Barragata Library, and then what happened, it became a little inconvenient for our patrons because they're coming to the library looking for information for certain subjects. So they come there, look for hard copies in the main library, and then they have to go to the other part of the documents, they have to go to Barragata. So it was a little bit inconvenient. So we brought all those resources back to our main library.
Okay, noted. Thank you so much for that information.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Have a good day, sir. Thank you.
Hafaday, Senator Quinata. My name is Corinne Bendicho, and I'm here on behalf of the Department of Youth Affairs. Relative to the first question, public and bidding notices published on behalf of the Department of Youth Affairs in fiscal year 2023 are 6 printed advertisements. 2 were RFPs, 1 was an IFB, and the remaining were meeting notices. With regard to the second question, estimated cost of these public and bidding notices for fiscal 2023 is totaled at $1,168. And then number 3, estimated expense of sanitation and destruction of stored documents is approximately $350, and that was for the purchase of a shredder utilized in the process. So we apologize, we did not bring the information with regard to fiscal 2022, but we could certainly forward that to you.
Yes, if possible, I would definitely appreciate that. But thank you for advising me of a $350 purchase for a shredder. What kind of shredder is that? Is like 50 pieces of paper that you can destroy at once, or that's like a Prius?
And we usually purchase those yearly, so that kind of gives you the, you know, as to how many documents we go through.
Yeah, I know. You guys have a lot of clientele that unfortunately go
Yes,
through
we
your
do. Yes.
doors. But so with that, do you have any difficulty with storage?
We do, but like all the other agencies, we also utilize personnel to go through that, and whenever the time frame has elapsed, we certainly take the time. Sometimes we try and do it as we go along, but things stack up, and after a while, we have to go through them and spend, you know, so many weeks going through that, and so we also have challenges with regard to storage of documents, and then, of course, with our older buildings and infrastructure, that becomes a challenge for us. But we try and keep up as much as we can.
Nice, thank you so much. So I don't think you guys have much barriers with digitization, right? You guys know how to archive and digitize your documents.
We're
mostly?
trying to get there, sir, but we're working on it.
Okay, thank you. That's very good to hear. Other than that, we're good. Thank you so
But
much.
we will get that information relative to fiscal year 2022 to you.
Yes. Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Tell your director and deputy I said hi.
We do. Thank you.
Okay. Other than that, my favorite, Mr. Borja, you're the last one. I know you got plenty.
Senator, if I could bring up a couple of staff members, and I'll introduce them as they come up.
You're not my target, but I know you got a lot of documents sitting around.
Well, you know, and I don't know what you mean by favorite, target, but I'll go ahead and ask my staff here to answer the three questions that you have. To my right is Chief Planner Celine Cruz. She's the division head at the Planning Division. And to my left here is Matthew Leon Guerrero. Matthew is our DCR, our Deputy Civil Registrar, who heads up the Records Division at the Department of Land Management. Celine?
Good morning, Senator. So for FY 2022, on behalf of the Guam Land Use Commission, we published 34 public notices with a total of costs of $7,677. For 2023, we published 25 public notices on behalf of the Guam Land Use Commission with a total cost of $6,440. But I would like to note that these costs or these expenses are at the expense of the applicants of the Guam Land Use Commission process.
Thank you for that information. That's interesting.
Yeah, so those are not at the cost of the department or the general fund. Thank you.
Good morning, Senator Quinata. You know, to answer your question number 3, right, the estimated expense of the sanitization and destruction of stored documents. In our division, we do not destroy any documents. All land records are kept. So, you know, and then I have a concern about documents, old documents that have SS numbers, for example. Public view, the digitized documents do not show that, but if an individual came in to request for a certified true copy of it, we would have to release it with such information at this time. The recording requirements in the past, you know, they were allowed to. Today, we don't accept documents that have SS numbers.
Why don't you guys just, sorry, well, do you need legislation to redact those documents?
No, there is already a public law that says, you know, we cannot accept documents like that, and we've gone backwards and redacted those documents on it. But the concern is that when a member of the public requests for an original document that may have the Social Security document, a number on it, we can't really redact that number. Otherwise, the certified true copy doesn't work. So we would have to release that to that person. Then
What?
conflicting law.
Yes. So I would presume that those documents are older than me?
Excuse me?
Are they older than me, right, those documents? Because if it has an SS number.
I think they're older than me also. So
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I just don't want anyone's, I don't want someone to be opening a bank account at Bank of Guam with a dead person's name on it. So definitely. Thank you for all of that information.
I do have, Senator, a couple of comments, and you might, want to ask questions after this. By and large, the agency that probably has the biggest percentage of their budget are not here today for these public notices, and those are the mayors. The mayors are required by law to publish notices of their municipal planning council meeting where summary zone changes are on the agenda. If they do not have that meeting, if they do not publicize it legally, that application doesn't move forward with the Guam Land Use Commission. And again, they're the ones that hold that critical scheduling of those meetings, and also a very important factor for the applicants that are looking for summary zone changes on it. As Matt said, recording requires, used to require one original and 2 documents. Now we only require 1 original and 1 copy. And that copy actually goes to one of those copies actually goes to the Department of Revenue and Taxation on it, and the original goes into the vault for future use. We have now close to 1 million documents recorded. We would probably be hitting 1 million documents recorded probably in 3 or 4 months. And our documents are only 65% digitized because some of those documents are very sensitive. They're very fragile, like onion skin documents or irregular shaped documents. Recently, Land Management has received an unsolicited proposal to digitize our documents in return for a copy, and we're running that through the Attorney General's office to see if we can accept that unsolicited proposal. There's also a public notice website maintained by the Department of Administration, and like I said, the public notice costs for government agencies is probably the largest percentage is the mayors, and very critical. The only advertisement that we would be putting out would be sometime probably in the early part of 2024, and that would be an advertisement for office space, which happens every 4 years. There is one thing that Land Management is struggling with, and that's I believe a 1998 law that requires all land management approved maps to be published, and we haven't done that portion of the law. Thank you.
Sorry, what was the law? To publish?
It's to publish maps, land management approved maps. This is, I believe, back in 1998. I can provide a copy of that law to your, in other words, all maps that were recorded at Land Management have been approved, of course, otherwise they won't be recorded. Land Management is required to publish those laws, those maps.
Yeah, we'll modernize that law. That's going to be more expensive than anything.
Yeah.
So thank you for that information. Yes, I know the Mayor's Council, Mr. Angel Sablan, said that his associates weren't able to attend, and we'll definitely get more information from them. But I wanted to clarify something you stated earlier, Ms. Christine, that you guys' publication is not done or is not paid for by the agency, but is paid for by the applicant, right? Is that the same case for the mayor's office, or is that because they're doing kind of the same thing, right? Or no? Can someone clarify that?
It actually depends on the mayor, and it depends on the applicant. I believe most applicants are willing to take that cost upon themselves just to get their application going, moving forward.
Okay, thank you so much. But again, the reason why you're my target, because I know you have a lot of documents in storage. So once you digitize them, you cannot get rid of them? Is that the answer?
No, we do not, because we only require, one original and one copy. Previous to this administration, I believe, previous to 2019, there was a large number of documents that were, I wouldn't say they were destroyed, but they were disposed of. They were dumped actually at some private property over there in Mongmong in Totu. It's by Clara Street, but it wasn't this administration. We like to keep all of our documents. Those were extra copies, I believe. That's what I understand at that time. Those were extra copies when those documents became digitized, because I believe digitization of most of the records at land management only happened in maybe 2018, Celine?
It actually began through a grant in 2013.
Okay, so are you still retaining those documents, or you got rid of them? The hard copies?
The documents that since that time, I believe in 2019 and probably about a year before that, because we only get one copy and one original, I believe they're still maintained. One of those copies actually goes to Department of Revenue and Taxation.
I wonder what is the requirement for DRT to get a copy?
Income tax, basically. To update their real property tax roll. So when you sell your property to Joe Borja, the tax bill goes to Joe Borja rather than Senator Roy. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that is mandated by law to go to Revenue and Tax is basically the only copy of the Affidavit of True Consideration. And I believe that's used by Revenue and Tax concerning income tax purposes.
Okay. Do you guys, when you, no, you're not Chamorro Land Trust, but I'm trying to figure out, you guys do a publication of people that are delinquent? Oh, that's Revenue and Tax, never mind.
That's Revenue and Tax, yeah.
So, but do you guys do anything annual basis on reporting for land management matters? No. It's on Chamorro Land Trust, right?
Chamorro Land Trust is the one.
Like they put a whole insert?
Chamorro Land Trust doesn't usually, sometimes yes, sometimes no, record their leases. So.
Okay. Other than that, thank you so much. That's why you're my favorite. Okay.
Thank you, Senator, for
Have
saving the best for last.
Okay. If there are no further discussions, the committee appreciates your attendance in today's and participation in today's informational hearing. Your participation and contribution are critical to shaping the public policy. The committee will continue to receive testimony, and I encourage you to share anything further at the close of this hearing, and will support the committee's review of this topic. Your invaluable insight and feedback is really appreciated, and the legislative body will make, as we make informed decisions as a legislative body. The time is currently 10:10 a.m. That it concludes today's informational briefing hearing, and we are adjourned. God bless.